Hi, welcome to this QRA Parts Count Tool tutorial video where I'll be covering the following. 1. Pre-count tasks. 2. The setup of your P&ID images folder. 3. Adding a count sheet and P&ID image. 4. Doing the parts count task using the QRA Parts Count Tool. And 5. Summarizing your count. Let's get into it. Your pre-count task involves the markup of your P&IDs into sections by your QRA specialist or senior engineer on your QRA team. This is a prerequisite for using the tool and is outside the scope of the QRA Parts Count Tool. The final marked up P&IDs should be saved as images if they have been marked up electronically, or you can scan them if you have marked them up on paper with your highlighter. And then these images should be appropriately named, so unique but short and appropriate for record. And then they should be collated into one folder that is appropriately named. You do not want to delete this folder, as the QRA Parts Count Tool is always linked to it, and this keeps the tool nice and light as the images aren't loaded into your Excel workbook. Now you want to go to your setup sheet, and here is where you point at the folder where you have saved your marked up P&IDs. By left clicking in this cell, you will get the Windows File dialog, and you can point at the appropriate folder where you have saved your P&ID images. Now we're going to add a count sheet and a P&ID image. You would have noticed this QPC tool, which is the custom tool that you would get very familiar with this QRA Parts Count Tool. And to add your parts count sheets, click on the Create PC Sheet, and you get this dialog requesting you to add a leak or failure or other event section reference or ID. This will make a part of the name for the sheet. It will be a unique name because you would add a sheet every time that you want to count a section on a specific P&ID. So my section will be called 320_01. So it's my first section in unit 320 on the plant. Next, you'll be requested to add the P&ID number. It'll be the unique name that you have given this P&ID. I recommend that this is unique but short and appropriate for record. So depending on the project naming convention, you'll be able to tell what part of the P&ID name is unique. And that's what you want to put in here. Great. Now you've got a counting sheet. You want to then insert image. Use the insert image button to bring in your P&ID. So I've got a demo one here I'm going to bring in. Now you can tell that from my marked up P&ID, I've got units 320.01, which includes the gas side of a column all the way to just the outlets, and I've also marked it up to the past this instrument in this inlet line, and this is just for demonstration. To count this section 320.01, I would be counting a fraction of this column assigned to the gas side. I will be counting these valves and these instruments. So let's see how we can do that using the QRA Parts Count Tool. You would need to enable counts, and then let's say the largest connection to my column is 10 inches. I need to use a custom duty for the column because I'm counting just the gas side. So that might be 80%. You'd be able to see at the bottom as you click through the part type, the duty, and you'd see what you're about to add on to the counts down here. And so now I need to add a pressure vessel. So as I said at the bottom, I'm just about to add a count. It says my count is enabled. I'm going to add a pressure vessel with a 10-inch largest connection, and just 80% frequency is what I'd be assigning, because for this section I'm just counting the gas side. So when I click that, I get an image that shows that I've done that count. As I said, I'd also be counting this actuated valve. Now it's important to go back to 100% because I'm not counting fractions for the valves. So I've gone back to 100%. I'm going to add an actuated valve and 2 flanges, because usually that valve will be flanged and you want to count the flanges separately according to the IOGP database. These valves look like manual valves, but they'll be flanged, so I'm going to add a manual valve and 2 flanges. And this one is another actuated valve, so I'll switch to my actuated valve and add one. Okay, and now I'm going to add an instrument. You don't need to change the size for an instrument. It is assumed based on the database that this is 2 inches or less, and so I'm going to add that. What we will also do is add some piping. I'm going to make an assumption about this piping to be 5 meters. I'm going to make some assumption about the piping here as well to be 5 meters. And this makes sure that your count also includes your frequency attached to a leak from a pipe. At this point, you're ready to summarize your counts. You can do this at any point through the count process, and we do that by going to Summary and just hit the Summarize Parts Count button over here. Great, so you would notice, and I'll walk through what you can see. We've got the section ID, the P&ID names, the part type, so the equipment, instruments, valves and fittings that you've added, the size of that part type and the duty assigned, and if you've added piping or pipelines, then you will be able to see the length of that piping or pipeline over here. As you can see, we've added a pressure vessel, we added actuated valves and flanges, manual valves and flanges, another actuated valve and flanges, your instruments and your steel piping. And over here we've got, for information and for you to be able to carry on to the next steps, we've got a unique list of your section refs or IDs, and we've got a unique list of your P&IDs. Now you've got a database of your parts count that you have done systematically, accurately collated, and professionally done for your clients to be able to audit. At this point, you will want to look up this data from your existing QRA spreadsheets if you've got them. If not, you can ask us. We've got a frequency extension workbook that allows you to automatically import this data and do the calculations using the IOGP risk assessment database. We trust that this tutorial has been useful for getting you started. Thank you for listening.